Donald Trump and the people around him just had yet another humiliating moment publicly. It's almost like the people in the Trump regime are masochists and they enjoy getting made fun of when they make these mistakes. They just do it so often. But Donald Trump and his team thought it was a good idea to launch this anti-media site using taxpayer dollars to do it, except they had to correct the record after they got called out for their website. It is just so embarrassing, and it's such a simple error to avoid, yet they made it anyway. And it begs the question, like, if they can't do this right, why do we think that they can run a country, let alone the most powerful country in the world? So look, we're going to get into the story and more, and then later we're going to talk about Donald Trump's other failures on social media, that being the fact that he spent the holiday weekend spreading racist propaganda on social media, which is not exactly surprising from Donald Trump. But look, before we get into any of it, make sure to subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about everything, and without further ado, let's dive in. So the White House, and this is according to the Daily Beast, was forced to correct its childish anti-media site. The White House launched a new webpage aimed at tracking what it calls media bias and inaccuracies, which itself contained inaccuracies. The new media bias page went live on Friday, with the White House claiming it would help to expose fake news. So while the American people were celebrating the holidays, celebrating Thanksgiving, being with friends, family, loved ones, this is what the Trump admin was doing, putting together a pretty crappy website that had inaccuracies of its own. They wrote on Twitter, "Tired of the fake news? We've got a place for you." The official White House X account wrote, "Get the facts, track the worst offenders, see the fake news exposed." And this is the actual post they put out. And I just find this so ironic. I mean, they're saying, get the facts, track the worst offenders, as in liars, see the fake news exposed. And it's just ironic because Donald Trump literally lies every day. Every time he opens his mouth, it's a new falsehood. I mean, he just comes up with everything. Now he's targeting Somalians, saying that they're the source of all crime in Minnesota, which is factually inaccurate. But you don't see Donald Trump featured on their media bias website. And here's the actual website. Again, our taxpayer dollars are funding the creation of this website. This is what they're doing with our money. Doge has completely gone out the window, and its mission was never great in the first place, at least the way that they were doing it. But anyway, this is the White House. It says, misleading, biased, exposed. Media offenders of the week, it's the Boston Globe, CBS, and the Independent. I'll just give you a little taste. So they included the video from the Democratic senators, representatives telling the military not to follow illegal orders. And they said, outlet CBS, the Boston Globe, Independent, reporter, these people claim media misrepresents and exaggerates Donald Trump's call for Democrat accountability. The offense, the media misrepresented Trump's call for members of Congress to be held accountable for inciting sedition by saying that he called for their execution, which he did. He reposted people online saying that these members should be hanged. I mean, what do you call that then? What does the White House call that? If that's not calling for people to be executed, then I don't know what does. And then they say this is the truth. The Democrats and fake news media subversively implied that Donald Trump had issued illegal orders to service members. Every order Trump has issued has been lawful. It's dangerous for sitting members of Congress to incite insubordination in the United States' military, and Trump called for them to be held accountable. Of course, this in and of itself is a lie. I mean, Donald Trump, we're just learning, issued an illegal order in the Caribbean with Pete Hegseth. So that's an example of an illegal order that shouldn't be followed, and it's not dangerous for sitting members of Congress to tell people to follow the law. But you kind of get an idea as to what this website is. And that brings us to, however, the site was briefly taken down before reappearing with alterations. In the update, Fox News was removed as an offender after the White House incorrectly attributed questions asked in a press conference to a Fox News reporter. They got it wrong. Fox News asked the White House to correct it, and now there's a 404 error where the page once was. Washington Post media reporter Scott Nover wrote on X, "This is the page now. When you tried to go back to their original media bias website and that quote that they falsely attributed to a Fox News reporter, this is what shows up. It just says page not found." The site, which is once again live, as we just saw, currently includes 31 fake news offenses from 21 publications. The list includes the Daily Beast, of which we're reading right now, which is accused of being part of a group of publications that did not cover the Trump admin's illegal deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia from Maryland to El Salvador in a way that the White House liked. Untangling the offense is difficult. The Beast's Catherine Boris, along with CBS News and The Independent, are accused of describing him as a Maryland dad, which is is factual and omitting facts about his criminal history. But of course, Garcia has no criminal convictions, and the Beast and the other outlets cited have all reported on his arrests and the allegations against him. And there's more to this story, but Donald Trump and his team, his regime, had to take down the website because they got it wrong. And of course, the irony I have to point out is there once again that not only is Donald Trump one of the biggest liars in American politics, but their own website contained inaccuracies, forcing them to take it offline for many hours until it was eventually put back up. But on to Donald Trump now, who has been spreading his own falsehoods on social media, his own crap online. And this is, of course, from the Daily Beast again, an outlet that Donald Trump hates. Trump, 79, spent his holiday weekend boosting racist propaganda. Trump took time out from his relaxing holiday weekend at Mar-a-Lago to repost a racist claim about Afghans made by a former Navy SEAL. With his approval ratings continue to fall, Donald Trump hit the fairway for a few rounds of golf with Canadian ice hockey legend Wayne Gretzky. The president also found time to post a screenshot of an ex-post by former Navy SEAL Robert J. O'Neill, who has claimed sole responsibility for killing Osama bin Laden. Fun fact, I've gone back and forth with Robert J. O'Neill on social media because he is cuckoo. He's crazy. I mean, if he was a Navy SEAL, so I'm thankful for his service for being a Navy SEAL. That's some real stuff. That takes some real training and some real heart and dedication and real service. But his political views are out the window. He said in this post, if you've never been to Afghanistan, you wouldn't understand. If you showed these people an espresso machine and gave them free coffee, they would assume you were a witch and chop your head off. But let's bring him in. And this is the post from Donald Trump, re-upping Robert J. O'Neill's post. O'Neill's post his reaction to the backlash surrounding the Trump admin's decision to stop processing visas for Afghan nationals in response to the shooting. Now, I want to point out, and I think it's worthwhile pointing out, that this is completely false about Afghanistan. Of course, there are crazy people in Afghanistan. Nobody's denying that. But there are a lot of city centers in Afghanistan that have modern stores and things like that. This is just a blatant misrepresentation of the country. Not to say that, again, there hasn't been crazy people in Afghanistan. There are. The Taliban is there, no doubt. But, Donald Trump saying this as if it applies to anybody from Afghanistan is blatantly racist. Newsflash, Donald Trump, not everybody from Afghanistan is bad. Right? A lot of people from Afghanistan actually fought alongside the United States, helped the CIA, helped our mission in that country, helped our mission broadly in the in the Middle East. And Donald Trump doesn't give a crap about any of them. In response to the shooting and the subsequent death of 20-year-old Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, Trump promised that the animal would pay a very steep price, who was responsible. The Trump admin was also quick to blame Joe Biden for the shooter's presence in the country because he fled Afghanistan for the U.S. in 2021. His asylum application, though, was approved this year during Donald Trump's second term. Undeterred, Trump has decided to punish Afghans collectively, writing posts on Truth Social about hundreds of thousands of people pouring into the U.S. from Afghanistan, totally unvetted and unchecked. Biden's Operation Allies Welcome resettled some 85,000 Afghans, many of whom, as I mentioned, work with American forces in the country. But Donald Trump upped posts like this. This is part of the horrendous airlift from Afghanistan. Hundreds of thousands of people poured into our country, totally unvetted. Fun fact, this was a plane that went to Qatar, not the United States. So, of course, Donald Trump is wrong again, spreading falsehoods. And there's more to this story as well. But, Donald Trump just posting these really disgusting posts, re-upping really disgusting posts. It's unsurprising for somebody like him, but nonetheless disgusting. It doesn't bring any less shame to the Oval Office because it's coming from Donald Trump. It actually brings more shame because this guy is a felon, a bad man who shouldn't be in the Oval Office in the first place, should have never been elected. But, this is the reality we live in. So look, I just had to cover these two stories because, man, oh man,